It is really curious because Bejuan has played quite a bit of Lilia so far this year. So to see that one taken away by his own team is, you know, something, a bit of a cause for concern potentially. We'll see if they want to put him on a dishwasher champion, and they do. It's going to be the Skarner coming through here. Weibo could always respond with that Zyra.
I think Skarner is pretty easy, and I think that that is exactly what BLG need right now. They need a straightforward, stable win condition. Skarner offers that, a lot of tools to be able to play through both early and late. It's all really about how you want to build around the Skarner, though. We're going to need to see Knight step up. He made a couple of mistakes in game number 1 that I think really cost this team in terms of his decision-making. We'll see if he's going to have another chance to redeem himself, but it's aggressive bot lane on the table for Weibo as we see the Kalista locked in here.
If Knight's going to redeem himself, it can't be on Talia, because that's not available. Can't be on Yone, one of his most played as well. Can't be on Ahri. So now we're starting to get into, is he going to pick a carry, like an Aurora or something like that? Or is he going to go with the Corki, perhaps? Or is he going to play a little bit more of a supportive style? So Weibo, they did lock this Kalista, and we're going to see Kalista Renata, a combo that we often don't see as much anymore, because it's usually split up.
Yeah, we're not seeing a ton of this bot lane, mostly because I think teams have gotten a little bit better at playing against it. I think it's gotten a little bit more, solved, and I think we're seeing these more aggressive bot lanes be the common answers. This time it's going to be the Ezreal Karma that is the answer for BLG. We've seen some double marksman bot lanes that have been the answer, but here, I think Karma fulfills a pretty similar purpose, but again, a lot of pressure on the bot lane to be able to stabilize in the early game, and that's not something they've done super consistently this year.
Really like what BLG have actually put together with their first 3 picks. Now they just got to bring it on home for a nice cohesive draft. We're going to see the Sion get locked in here. Interested to see if Weibo is going to ban the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath has been picked a lot into Sion, a bit of a counter matchup in the top lane. So maybe they'll try to make sure that Bin isn't on that and have him play something else.
Yeah, multiple options for Bin. I would be curious to see what direction they feel comfortable to put him in, because I think he actually has quite a few champions that can pretty easily play into this Sion. It's going to be the Yorick as the first ban. That was the first thing that came to my mind, was that Yorick was probably going to be pretty high priority here. I think it makes a ton of sense to take that off the board, but other things that I'm looking out for, we're going to see the Orianna taken off the board for BLG. I wouldn't be surprised to see something a little bit more, basic for Knight here, something like a Nazir. I think could theoretically be on the table as well if they wanted to go that direction. I think they just want to get him clearly onto something that can do a lot of damage in the late game, something that they can rely on. If everything else is going wrong, if Bin, if Elk, if Bejuan, if they're not going to be playing at a top level, Knight's your guy. Play around him, let him cook, and I think we're going to be seeing that with some of the bans here, but Gnar as that second top lane ban coming in.
See what the other mid lane ban is here. They're going to ban out not the mid lane ban, the ban for BLG is they ban Sejuani. I think that's a pretty solid one here, given the circumstances. I don't think BLG would have enough damage to be able to chew through a Sejuani and a Sion. Ball in Weibo's court here, looking for a mid laner and a jungler. Tian getting a rare late pick.
Yeah, they like to pick jungle early. Generally, most teams do, but I like the idea of saving it for a little bit later, especially if it's going to be something more aggressive as an answer to play around the Kalista, and it could be that as we see the Poppy locked in. I presume this is going jungle, and there's not going to be some weird shenanigans happening, but I like that pick a lot. I think Poppy's in a really great spot right now, and even if it's not the most valuable Poppy comp of all time, I do think that it's still, a champion that's just naturally super consistent, and I think that's what this team needs. But we kind of talked about it, control mages, late game team fighters, something that can do a lot of damage. That's what I'm looking for from Knight. With the Orianna banned out, it's all about what his preference is, and it looks like that's going to be the victor here.
Okay, I like what BLG is doing here. You've got a lot of poke. You can team fight fairly well also, and you're not giving too much value over to Poppy. Did see that Trundle hover. That got me a little excited. I've always been wondering, like, with all these big tanks that we're seeing, is there ever going to be a Trundle angle? Not sure if this would have been the game for it. But, listen, Bin is willing to pick a lot of different stuff, but it looks like it'll just be the Renekton for a little bit of lane dominance early on.
Yeah, you just want to establish that tempo. And there's the Azir that I was referencing earlier. It would make a ton of sense to round out this comp for Weibo, and they are going to lock it in. So we have a pretty good idea of where these teams stand. I think I personally really like BLG's draft. I think they set themselves up to have a pretty good win condition here overall. I like their ability to fight in the mid game. Beixuan should have an easier time without as much responsibility as he had on the Xin Zhao in game number 1. But if you're looking for a way for a potential Weibo Gaming, win here, I think you do have an out in the later part of the game. While the team fighting is probably a bit more straightforward, you have a lot of peel for Azir if you do just want to go for this hyper carry win condition in a front-to-back fight. Overall, I think BLG's comp is way easier to execute on, and I would certainly trust that Knight on this Victor can, step up and deliver, or that, Elk can have a good game on the Ezreal, but definitely options for both teams, not quite as one-sided as game number 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Elk because him and An have a big responsibility this game. You have to keep down Light and Erha, right? You have to set this Kalista behind, really try to minimize the early power that she's going to have, because you want to use this Kalista to bridge yourself into Azir getting really, really big and having a strong late game. Meanwhile, on the other side, I feel like this is, while this comp is really good for BLG, and we like the poke, and we like the cohesion, it certainly makes a lot more sense than game 1. It feels like Ben might have a difficult time playing this game. He'll obviously have lane prio, but as you go on later, it's going to be hard to get to this Azir and even this Kalista, trying to wade through all the stuff that you see over on the side of Weibo.
Yeah, I think stuff is a great way to put it. There's so much peel for Weibo. You have so many ways to keep this Azir safe if you do want to play for that win condition in the back half. It's not necessary, because I think that there are ways to be able to play through the mid game here if you wanted to try and do that, but I definitely am going to be looking at Xiaohu as the guy for Weibo, and we'll see if he can step up like he did in game 1.
He's going to have to, because you would love to come away with a nice 2-0 and not worry about, letting BLG kick down the door. You just want to slam it. Don't let their foot get in there, because you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Remember, you got punished a couple of times in the first game. Let's see if Weibo will correct or if BLG can force game 3. I believe the first one was for BLG.
I believe so.
And you can just see the fan, after he chanted the last one, he just kind of sat back in his seat, so defeated. He's like, man, BLG stinks.
The team can't have that mentality. You gotta hope that they're coming into this with a little bit more confidence than that. I think they have a pretty good setup for it, but we highlighted it well in draft. Elk and On are very crucial to establishing that BLG lead early. I think if they end up not as strong in the bot lane as maybe we expect, that all of a sudden twists a lot of the expectation for this draft, but I'm really excited to see some more priority on the mid lane. Knight versus Xiaohu is one of the legendary mid lane matchups here in the LPL. To see both of them get onto champions that can really function well in a team fight setting is exciting. And I'm excited to get into this game too. BLG is simply going to have to be better than they were in game 1.
And dueling late game scalers too. That's always a fun matchup to taste. If you get there and both of these guys hit their power fantasy on these champions, it's going to be really, really cool. It's like, oh man, you have two Titans, as you mentioned, just going out and slamming each other and trying to do as much damage as he possibly can. One thing to note is that Elk did go cleanse this game. There's Handshake, there's Hostile Takeover, there's Poppy's Heroic Charge, but that's really it. I am actually a little bit surprised, especially on a champion like Ezreal, that he opted in.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an interesting decision, a bit of a defensive decision from him, which I'm not really in love with. I think that Ezreal needs to be as aggressive as possible quickly in this game in order for this comp to function the way it wants to, but it's going to be up mostly to the gameplay. If the cleanse ends up working out to help this 2v2 out, then we're going to call it genius. It's just about how this ends up working out in the 2v2, but I agree. I think it's definitely a little bit more questionable. I'm interested to see what these junglers do. I assume we're going to get just regular full clears here. I would be shocked if we got anything more than that, but Tian has never been afraid to shy away from some interesting pathing as we see here.
He's already trying to get in on Beixuan, perhaps, or trying to slide in. It looks like he did.
Oh, he wasn't seen.
Beixuan is unaware this is happening. The ward goes down. Now he will spot out the ward. Tian will look to take a fight, take Beixuan down a little bit lower. This is going to cause Elk and On to have to be very aware and pull back potentially a little bit. Give a little bit of breathing room to late now.
Yeah, this is a really nice play from Tian. You want to establish the tempo in the bot lane if you are Bilibili. It becomes so much harder if Tian is just going to be playing around this entire, side of the map, and Beixuan's not going to have a lot of answers you are still going to have the push, but you're not going to be able to dominate it in the way that maybe you would want, and it's just going to be a camp take and a free escape here, but see if they want to look for more.
They certainly want to stop him from taking the scrap. Xiaohu is on his way down. Beishwan will drive this one in. As you said, Knight is there.
Tian's going in.
Turn around to Elk. Elk has to try to get out. Xiaohu taking a lot of damage. They're in the gravity well. He's bleeding out in the gravity well, and he goes down. Erha's going to be the next target as he's stuck in the pit, and it's a 2-0 for BLG.
And we're not done. Top lane fight here. Ooh, almost a solo kill on the top side, but I am not sure at all what Tian was doing in that exchange. He ends up completely abandoning his mid laner. Xiaohu was just left to die in the middle of the map, and he might happen again.
Should be able to at least get out of this one, but not for half of his health bar, which is very devastating. We all have teleported back to lane and lost half our health immediately. Bit of an oopsie there. It's going to be tough for Xiaohu to recover from that.
Yeah, and we're seeing the pressure continuously put down by Bilibili Gaming. I want to kind of circle back. I'm not really sure what the setup was there from Tian. He ends up wanting to play more towards the bot side, but the Azir has no way to actually be able to survive in that fight. If the call is to continue to go in and try to protect your bot lane, I think you got to be more decisive. This is a problem. The problem is, you know, not being able to get that pressure through the middle of the map. And if that's going to be an issue that continues onwards for Weibo, that's going to be a big issue because that's their win condition here.
Elkanana moved up to the top side, as have Light and Erha. Grubs are up in about a minute. They're going to continue to go at each other as this dragon has spawned. We're seeing Tian take a back. No, he's going to cancel it. It's interesting to see where he was going to redeploy. Meanwhile, Beishwan hanging around the mid lane. Tian is spotted on this ward.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where these junglers want to put their pressure right now. With Beishwan on the bot side, Dragon, of course, has spawned, as you mentioned. It's going to be interesting to see if BLG want to even try to contest these Void Grubs. They're in a position that's pretty unique here, where a lot of the gold is actually in their favor, and the Ezreal Karma is going to be a pretty big problem, and so I think they should have priority in whatever play that they do end up wanting to go for, but at least for now, Beishwan just going to full clear down on the bot side, not really worry too much about the grub spawning in 10 seconds. Xiaohu's done a decent job to be able to stabilize here in the mid lane. It felt like it was going to be a pretty hard lane after that teleport back and getting chunked out for most of his health bar, but it looks like he's going to be just fine here as Knight hits level 6.
Yeah, he's still down CS, but he's fine for right now, although Knight could drop the Arcane Storm on him once he gets enough mana to do so. We're seeing Tian show up again here for round 2. Looks like BLG have no idea this is happening, so we're going to look to target out the Karma. Not able to charge him up against the wall. Elk going to cleanse the handshake. So he will survive with Air taking a turret shot on the back.
And there is the value of the cleanse, so glad he ended up getting value for it if he was going to bring it, but this play's not over. Ons.
Erha's rooted. Beishwan is here. Light is just going to go in on Elk. Elk going to get big shields, and Beishwan's going to drive Light a little bit closer to the turret. Light not landing the Q, and will go down to Beishwan. That's the feat of warfare for BLG as they're looking to continue the fight. Tian trying to get away, but he's going to get rooted up. Now Beishwan going to flash on top and trying to finish him off. He'll throw a rock at Erha, who will survive. Meanwhile, Ben on the bottom side, dealing with Breathe. Xiaohu pokes out his head, but thinks better of it.
A really nice exchange for BLG on the top side. Great collapse coming in from Beishwan, staying active, staying aggressive on the map. This gold lead is ballooning very quickly. This is not a game that is good to stay passive in if you are Weibo for long, and Void Grubs are going to be started up by Bilibili. They should get all 3 of these without any sort of contest. Tian is in the area, but I can't imagine that he's going to look for this play here. It does look like Beishwan will just have everything he wants with Tian at half health, obviously. But as we move forward, it's really going to matter what the backup play for this is, I say, as Beishwan secures that 3rd and final Void Grub.
Ben, the split pusher extraordinaire, going to be very happy with those. See if BLG in 4 more minutes will pay another visit. This dragon is still up on the bottom side. On and Elk have swapped it back down. As you mentioned, BLG, their gold lead ballooned a little bit. About 2,000 gold at the 8-minute mark. Looking very impressive here in the second game. Beishwan especially.
Yeah, and with Dragon still up, I imagine the priority will eventually go there. Tian's just getting soloed, though, by On.
Yeah, that's not good.
That is not a good look if your jungler is getting soloed by the support who's the same level on the other side of the map. That's never really the best case scenario. They're going to continue to have a ton of prio here with Elk hitting level 6. Breathe going to have a tough time under this tower, but with this push down on the bot side, I think it's only a matter of time before we see Beishwan make his way down for this Cloud Dragon. He's starting to stack that as quickly as possible should be the priority for Bilibili. It looks like they want to establish a little bit more on the map than maybe just going for the objectives, but I would want to see that as quickly as possible. If you're Weibo from this point, though, with Xiaohu still being your win condition and still being your out here, him being down 15 CS, of course, dying pretty early on in that first blood exchange, you need to start getting him out into a side lane and start getting him gold. But Bin now...
Okay, Bin in the 2v1 here, taking Airhawk very low. Will be forced to back off. And yeah, I mean, Weibo have not been able to really touch this Victor. Knight has been cruising along so far this game, and you know, why not? As long as he doesn't position himself against the wall, he's not really under any threat to be CC'd. Beishwan going to clean up this dragon, so all the objectives are going to BLG. They're feeling good. They may have turned back the clock to 2024.
It's definitely looking a lot better here at the start, and this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them establish pressure. We talked about in draft this team having options. Xiaohu, though.
Oh, he opened flash, and it just does not go well. The Arcane Storm is going to burn him away. Tian gets slammed up against the wall. He gets impaled. It's a disaster class here in the mid lane as Knight will finish him up. No, it's going to be Beishwan who gets credit for that one. Doesn't matter, no matter how way you slice it. It's 2-0, Kman.
That is a disaster for Weibo. We talked about needing to look aggressive around this Azir to get him as much gold as possible. Well, they looked. It just did not work out. A gorgeous flash from Knight to dodge out on the Azir ultimate. Can't get shuffled back if you are not in the area. And then a great follow-up from Beishwan to make sure the play goes well. Knight is in a great spot. Beishwan is 1.3k gold ahead of Tian on the other side of this matchup. And we're going to see the replay here. It's a nice attempt by Weibo. Yeah, I understand what they were going for, but this is just a pixel-perfect flash from Knight. And Xiaohu has no way out. No way out after this.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm just kind of surprised he didn't rip it immediately. I think he was close enough to be able to scoop up Knight. And maybe he was trying to bait out Knight's flash and then, you know, predict at that point. But I don't know what happened there. It just did not come out right. It looked like very clunky Azir combo there. And not good for Weibo, but good for BLG. If you're a BLG fan, all of a sudden you might be like, Beishwan's our guy. He is really putting on a clinic.
He looks so much more comfortable on the Skarner, and speaking of, we could see another fight here.
Yep, On gets shoved up against the wall, but Beishwan counters in kind. Ezreal coming through, good pullback there. But I don't think he's going to be able to survive. Ezreal will fall. Bin teleporting in. Tian is going to die on the other side, and Light is trapped. He's going to try to skewer Elk as best he can, and he will be able to find the kill with the Rend. At least gets one on the backside, but BLG are dominating.
Yeah, it's at least the perfect game taken off the board for BLG. It's still a fantastic play. Yeah, still a fantastic play for them, but, you know, there's nothing else to go for at this point. I understand Weibo's aggressiveness in that tendency. Void Grubs are spawning, and you don't feel like you can fully contest as long as BLG actually shows up. You want to look for a pick at the start of that fight, and as soon as you see Beishwan kind of collapsing on the rest of the team, the best case scenario there is that you trade 1 for 3, and you know, things are falling very quickly for Weibo. We will see the 4k gold lead continue to balloon, and Erha just taking so much damage every exchange.
Yeah, you know what, Elk and On, yes, playing Ezreal Karma and dominating lane is easy mode a little bit. Let's be honest. But they did their job. They have really shut down Light and Erha, made them really non-factors. I mean, even in this fight, the hostile takeover goes down. It only hits Beishwan.
Yeah, it's certainly not the fight you draw up if you're Erha.
Picture.
Oh, yeah.
All right, trying to make a play on the Knight here. The turret's going to help out a little bit. On and Beishwan are going to get here. Don't tell me Knight's going to escape. Knight gets out on a damn sliver as Beishwan and On slam the door shut.
And that's the issue with Sion Poppy. They just don't have the damage to kill the Victor at this point. He's able to just walk himself out of this situation that looked pretty disastrous. Breathe now half health under this tower. Just has to watch as these plates go down and more damage gets pumped in. But even the plays that Weibo are looking for aren't working right now because they just don't have the resources to make them work. You know, if I'm Bilibili, I'm playing aggressive everywhere on the map and, you know, trying to take everything I can. That's going to start with Dragon spawning in a minute. It will, of course, be the second Drake, but We'll see if Weibo want to answer by trying to take this top tier 1.
Yeah, we talked about how you needed this Callista to bridge yourself over to the Azir into the late game. Well, the bridge was not built, and they still jumped into the water. And right now, Weibo are sinking, and I do not know if there's any way out. As you said, Dragon coming up very shortly, 45 seconds. Tian getting some vision down here into Beishwan's jungle, but it's not going to matter. I mean, Beishwan is up like, what, 7 camps or something like that? It's just absolute domination in the jungle here. A complete about face from game 1.
It's everything you want to see. You know, it's best case scenario for Beishwan. Again, he just looks so much more comfortable on the Skarner than he did at any point on the Xin Zhao. Skarner's a champion that rewards a lot of careful planning and making sure that you're playing alongside the rest of your team. I think this is something that really does work for them. We've seen Knight obviously have a big lead in the mid lane, and that's always going to help out. Bot lane winning is always going to help out, but just making sure that Beishwan's in a position where Tian can't just play super aggressive and Beishwan has to play reactionary has been a big positive here. And as we see Beishwan continue to just pressure around the map, I imagine he's just going to be walking down to the Dragon. We do see pings coming down for both, though.
This didn't work out so well last time for Breathe. And Knight is the one dealing a lot of damage here. Breathe is forced to flash away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Xiaohu's just trying to keep himself alive, but he's not going to stand a chance. Throw a rock at him. Ezreal, is he burning away? Does he die? No, he lives. Walks out on a sliver.
Just barely ends up living there. It's a nice play for BLG because it gives them free Dragon priority. No Azir means no fighting from Weibo Gaming. So while all of this is happening, Bin is just taking that top tier 1. He's going to be able to secure that. Elk is going to be able to secure that mid tier 1. Dragon's going to be going in favor of BLG. Weibo Gaming are in the area. I just cannot imagine they can try and contest this here.
All right, well, Tian said, well, you know what, Kman, I don't care. And he's going to get impaled. Here comes Breathe coming through, trying to get in a lot of damage. Teleport coming in from Xiaohu as well. Beishwan's kind of stuck, and now he can't get in to the back of the fight as the Dragon is still being done and is secured by Tian. Now the teleport coming in for this Renekton. Coming in for the Fates call. Let's see what Light's going to do. Erha not landing the knockup. Ultimate goes down into Elk, but he dies on the side alone as Ben is going to look to chase down Light, and Light gets caught and is dead, sliced and diced up. Breathe ends up being the last one standing. He slammed into the wall too. BLG descend on Weibo like a pack of wolves and are so far in front, Kman. Is there a way? Does Weibo have anything in this game?
I'm worried to answer that question because the way I would describe that setup in terms of that fight is that's probably the best setup that Weibo could have hoped for. In that instance, the entire fight was split. Beishwan was chunked out before Knight was even there, and so you're in this situation where you're able to grab the Dragon, as we'll see here, because Beishwan has to invest into chasing down Tian, and, you know, you have no Victor dealing damage on the back end, but you don't have the damage to break through this Skarner. So even though you're pumping in so much into trying to kill Beishwan, Bin's able to complete the full teleport before Beishwan even gets to half health, and at this point, you know, this split fight does not favor Weibo anymore. You start to be in a situation where everybody's losing their little individual matchups, and the most concerning part for Weibo is I don't know what else they could have done here. I think if you are going to look to fight, they played it the way they probably should have. It just didn't end up mattering. The wallet diff right now is just a little bit too big, and that projects out into the future. We're seeing more objectives spawn. The Rift Herald is up. Beishwan is already on it, as we can see on our mini-map here, and I don't think that's going to stop soon.
The plays continue to be made here by BLG. Elk just runs right by Breathe. Full control of this map. Erha maybe looking to have a pick onto On. Good flash handshake. You have to try to burst him out here. On trying to stay upright, trying to get back with the rest of his team, and they are able to turn it around as Bin shows up to the party. And he's going to focus out Breathe. The Light has to try to hop away, but the Arcane Storm burning him low. He's got a flash over the wall. Xiaohu trying to do what he can with the Emperor's Divide, but even he will watch his tank fall. Knight on Erha now, chasing him down. Xiaohu in enemy territory. He gets run down too. BLG knocking him down like dominoes. Knight really wants to get this support kill. Really trying to take out some frustrations from the last game. Come on, man, you can do it. Handshake.
Oh, is he gonna get him?
No, surely
not. Is he
not.
getting juked? Is he getting juked? Oh, he's getting juked. Erha?
Oh,
he's out of there.
Knight's like, did he give me the slip? He certainly did.
On's on his way.
Oh, he's sprinting.
Is the karma going to find him?
Oh, no!
Oh, no! He didn't pick the right bush. Era is able to
-1.
escape with his life. Yeah, -1, -1. But,
-1.
I mean, when you're talking about that fight, it's just another example of Weibo looking to find anything they can on the map. They try to find one member disconnected from everybody else, and it just doesn't matter. The collapse comes in because they don't have the damage to kill in time, and then everything just goes down. It's a fantastic ultimate from Beishwan. Knight ends up flashing over the wall to secure some kills. Just great stuff from Bilibili, and looking forward, I just have a hard time imagining where Weibo end up generating, and, you know, I think this is the problem with the comp. We talked in draft about how, you know, Weibo was going to struggle in the mid game, about how they didn't really have a ton of advantages in this stage after the Ezreal Karma kind of neutralized the Kalista Renata. It was the Azir that needed the out, and a lot of pressure was put into that Azir. You don't really have that backup win condition that we talked about so much in game number 1, and I think it's coming back to bite them now.
Couldn't agree more, Kman. Game 1 was silly Billy Gaming. Game 2, we're back to Bilibili Gaming. We'll see how long it lasts, and if we can even get it into Game 3 as Xiaohu puts up the turret to keep himself alive. 1 more minute until this next dragon. Only one apiece for each of these squads. Breathe with a big engage. Double knockups are there. The ultimate coming out from Erha as well, but the impale right onto the ultimate. That Chaos Storm, that Arcane Storm, doing so much damage. And it's another fight that BLG win with ease.
Just brutal to watch Weibo take what looks to be like almost a 4v3, and feels like they have the numbers advantage, and feels like they're finally going to be able to start a fight front to back, and then one impale later, and all of a sudden BLG are just wiping the floor with Weibo. They're going to be taking down this inhibitor tower in the mid lane. It doesn't look like they're going to get too much beyond this, but you know, Otacon is up. They're going to be prioritizing that. Dragon is spawning in 12 seconds as well. Everything's going to be up on the map for them to take. Whatever they want to prioritize is theirs, and this game just continues to get further and further away from Weibo.
20 kills to 1, Kman. Let's take a look at this replay. The BLG has been impressive all game long. Even fighting out of a tough situation like this is impressive. A hostile takeover landed onto 2 members. It just didn't matter.
Yeah, the combo there, the triple combo really, with Beishwan, Knight, and Elk, all throwing their ultimates out, landing on 3 members. Just absolutely gorgeous. It's perfect communication, perfect coordination from BLG, but continue to see more plays. This game's not getting any less aggressive.
All right, breathe. You took the turret. They have gotten their first turret of the game.
Tian
is dead.
Just nothing to do. nothing to say. Oh, breathe.
Breathe is dead.
Oh, it is getting out of hand.
Light is dead.
Light is
alive.
dead.
Light is alive. The light is still there. The light has gotten snuffed out.
Oh, man. 1-6-1 on the Kalista, 0-4-0 on the Azir, 0-5-0 for the Poppy. It's not been good. We'll say for Weibo, this is a GG go next. You know, you feel okay. You're like, all right, we wanted to try Kalista.
We're back.
You know, unfortunately,
we're so back.
Ezreal Karma is a little strong. We are so back. Bilibili Gaming has returned, and Beishwan looks excellent in terms of playing out from a winning condition. This is the version of him that we saw in Split 1 on Thunder Talk, when he was really doing a lot for that team to upset a team like Bilibili Gaming in the group stage. It's kind of a very similar showcase to that, but I'm just excited to see that this exists at all for Bilibili. I was concerned that the cold streak that they had been on was impenetrable, but this is a sign of life that I think we desperately needed.
Yeah, they look really, really strong in this game, and you know, obviously, when you get ahead like this in a professional game, throws rarely happen. You're usually pedal to the metal, these players firing on all cylinders, but to even get this lead, yes, Tian was disrespectful in the early game, and that first fight went the way of BLG, but for every successive fight afterward, they just played so damn sharp, and you know, the second team All-Pro in Beishwan from Split 1. Yeah, Split 1, say what you want about it and about some of the teams. He showed up, and he has shown up big in this game, 4-0 and 14. As Weibo are looking to make a play here, I believe they may have found kill number 2.
And, you know, to take a good moment and say, wow, you finally got one of the shutdowns, you got a kill, and to turn it worse, it went to Renata, which is one of the only champions that can't really function with that at this point in the game. Not that it terribly matters. It's a nice pick from Weibo. I'm glad that they're still looking for opportunities. They haven't completely given up at this point, but Even 4v5, I imagine they can still siege down this base relatively easily. We'll see here as they target the bot inhibitor tower now.
Thankfully, Baron hasn't spawned, but oh my god, Tian is just in so much trouble. He's going to pull Breathe with the ultimate. Elk is going to get the kill. Continuing to take the real estate of Weibo, just in their base, having a good time, hitting up these inhibitors. 30 seconds on Tian. It's 5v4. There's just not a whole lot that Weibo can do at this point. So let the inhibitors go down and just hope you don't lose the game off of it. Light said, I've had enough of your bullying, Knight.
Poking back as much as I can. I just want to get something. I want my numbers to go up in that endgame screen, but
He's like, you want some of this? Get yeah, some of this? Huh? Throw some spears.
That's the best you can do at this point is pad that damage percentage graph. We even see the minions start collapsing on these Nexus turrets, but we see a teleport coming in, a potential flank.
Okay. I like it. Elk and On could be in trouble. Elk, nice flash, but Elk's splash was better. Xiaohu, very low over on the side, goes down to On. Beishuan taking a lot of damage, but that Arcane Storm will drive away Tian. Breathe dies too. It was a good effort. I respect it. We'll go to game.
I respect Weibo saying, I'm going to die by my hand and not by yours. We're going to make the play that ends up ending the game, but an absolute stomp coming in from BLG, clean.
5, 6, 5, 6, and 5 are the deaths over on the side of Weibo Gaming. I can't remember the last time I saw a game like that where things were so even in deaths. I mean, you know, typically it's just one player that has a really bad time. You know, maybe dies like 7 times and nobody else really dies. It's like, oh, you died 2, 3 times. Oh, this guy died 7. That's a big outlier. But hey, listen, that just goes to show that BLG does not discriminate from top all the way down to support. They'll kill you all the same.
Yeah, this was a stomp across the board. This was not close in any lane. We saw the early pressure get put into Xiaohu. We talked in draft about how that Azir is really the win condition for Weibo in this one, and BLG knew that as well. They knew that, hey, if we just continuously kill this Azir, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. And from that point, Tian just had no pressure in the jungle, no way to play it out. Credit to BLG, as much as we can sit there and talk about Weibo's scorelines not looking great. A lot of that was caused by some really proactive plays coming in from BLG. Loved how Beishuan ended up playing this out on the Skarner, and the bot lane really stepped up.
Yeah, Beishuan played like a maniac. If there's one player that I'm going to stake my vote for MVP for this game, it's got to be Beishuan. I think that everybody performed well enough to potentially earn an MVP, but come on. I mean, this guy was just everywhere. He was in the bot lane, he was in the mid lane, he was in the top lane, he was under your bed, he was in the closet, he's behind the shower curtain. This dude was everywhere. Tian couldn't go anywhere. He's under your chair right now, Kman.
Oh my god, Skarner. I can't believe it, dude. Beishuan, hey, BLG was looking for a jungler. I think we found him. I think we might have found him.
It's one game. It's one game. They put him on a dishwasher champion.
We will see what
he
can do.
See if they do it in game 2. But yeah, they could. You know, Sejuani is still available to wash some dishes. He's played a lot of Sejuani too. Has done pretty well on it. It is going to require the comp to be crafted properly. It's also going to require it to get through picks and bans. I mean, you know, we could spend time talking about like, oh, what does Weibo need to do differently? They just need to play better. Tian, you know, the early game that Tian had, where he takes the red buff, looking really solid there. And then he just stands in the river. He's like, I'm going to wait for Scuttle Crab to spawn. I don't think you're going to do a damn thing. And they did. They did. If he just goes back and just farms his jungle, this game is totally different.
Oh yeah, that play completely threw all of Weibo's tempo off, not only because he ends up getting caught out, but because he ends up abandoning Xiaohu in that fight, just completely walks away from him, walks to the bot lane that was already safe, and just kind of lets his Azir die. And from that point onwards, we gotta remember, that's the win condition, and you are actively sacrificing him in the early game. It's just not really some great decision-making, some great macro from him, but we expect better moving forward as we see the chart here. A lot of damage from BLG, not so much so on the other side. Look at the mid lane difference, even the jungle difference. It was absolutely ginormous for BLG.
Are you going to say it, Kman, or am I going to say it?
It's all you.
Mid gap.
It's all you.
Jungle gap.
Mid gap.
Mid gap. I mean, is it really, I was going to ask it, I was actually just about to say, is it really Xiaohu's fault? The early game, no. His ultimates were just not there. He looked slow on the Azir combos. I don't know if that was an intentional choice, but like, what are we doing here? Like, you are really in lockstep with him. You will hit him.
Yeah.
Unless I'm wrong.
No,
like, I'm pretty sure he's close enough to get scooped up.
Yeah, there is no excuse. I think the expectation was that he was going to flash immediately, but it's Knight. He's not going to flash immediately. He's going to wait for that animation startup because he's Knight, and so he ends up, doing that, ends up flashing out of it. This is the fight where things really went off the rails for Weibo, where it became basically impossible. It's a great TP in from Bin. Light's overcommitted and overextended. He is able to pick up the kill onto Elk, but for what? At what?
I mean, he was dead at that
cost?
point. He was dead at that point, so like I respect that play. I think it's the right play to make. Sometimes the right play is still not great, but you deal with the hand that you were dealt. And, again, Weibo were the ones to throw down the gauntlet, and they said, we're picking Kalista. And BLG said, yeah, that's cool, bro. Enjoy lane. Have fun.
Yeah, we've seen this multiple times now. There's a reason Kalista has lowered in priority over the past couple of weeks. Teams have gotten more of a chance to scrim against this duo across the entire year. And I think teams have found a ton of different answers to it. We've seen multiple iterations of, poke or aggressive-oriented bot lanes. Things like Ashe support or obviously Ezreal Karma have been very consistently picked against, Kalista Renata. And I'm just not sure it's going to be quite as consistent moving forward. That being said, I don't blame Light and Era for this game. I think that this was a tough one to play out and WoW on. And Elk did a great job of being able to capitalize on it. I think this is just one of those games you have to chalk up and say, well, it was over at 8 to 10 minutes, and, we just want to go next. Yeah, draft gap, and that's it.
It's really interesting. We've had 2 drafts in this game that we really have not liked. I appreciate the patience there from Xiaohu. Smart move, but unfortunately Elk was just a little bit better. But yeah, the first game we were like, BLG's draft not looking so hot. Second game, Weibo's draft not looking so hot, right? I mean, you got the bot lane that you wanted, and then you just felt like they were completely ill-prepared to deal with the Karma and the Ezreal at that point. So, I don't know what needs to get fixed a little bit there, but we need to start seeing Weibo win some of these matches 2-0. When you take a look at both of these teams, BLG 4-5 in series score, but they're 12-11 in game score, right? They are actually over 500. Meanwhile, Weibo, they're 6-4 overall, but they're 14-13 in game score. There's our boy Beishwan getting the MVP.
Yeah, if it was anybody else, I would have been frustrated. This was an unbelievably good Skarner game from Beishwan. 4-0-17. We see that 78% kill participation. In a game with this much action, that's pretty good. That's certainly not something you're going to scoff at. He was 3,000 gold up at the end. Certainly some fun stats to count there, but if you wanted to talk about, what's Beishwan going to look like? What's this team going to look like playing around Beishwan? I think we got a much better and clearer picture in game number 2 of what things can look like at their best, but, is he going to be able to get the same kinds of leads that he was able to get in this game consistently? That's still a question. Things aren't fully fixed for BLG just yet. There still are some question marks, and I'm excited to see where that ends up landing, and I think game 3 is going to be a big tell on that front.
In a game where you had to make a statement that BLG are still here, they're still fighting, Beishwan was the one to lead his team to a Game 2 victory in Kman. We're going to get a 3-game series going the distance. BLG looking to turn over a new leaf. Weibo Gaming looking to keep the hot streak going. We're going to take a break, and then we'll kick it to Game 3 after no messages. We'll see you soon.